welcome back to Freckles and Blondie, the podcast where we nitpick, ooh and ah, sigh, and ultimately love on the TV show Lost. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And today we are talking about Collision, episode 208 of Lost, which aired on November 23rd, 2005. I'm a pro at these dates now, Randy.
I'm so proud of you.
This episode comes to you from some good old Lost vets. Director Stephen Williams, writers Javier Grillo-Marxuach, and Leonard Dick. And this episode always feels to me like the second in a row episode of Ana Lucia.
You mean a continuation of last week's episode?
I feel like the focus was on her last week, and then I feel like the focus is on her again, so I'm a little like, whoa, that's a lot of Ana Lucia to take in.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Like, it wasn't really Ana Lucia-centric last week, but it kind of felt like it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I really liked this episode. And I know you know that, because I texted you while I was watching it. And I was like, ooh.
You did. And I hadn't seen it yet when you texted me that. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It had a lot of things I enjoyed. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
I felt like it kind of had a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you go to Lost for, whatever your thing is that you respond to in the show, there was probably some of it in this episode. Like, I got my ethical questions that I love. It's got action. It's got a reunion montage.
Yeah.
It's got a little Jack and Kate,
Mm-hmm.
a little Sawyer and Kate.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, it's got like emotional backstory that fits with what's going on in the island. It's got John Locke doing a crossword puzzle. Like, what else could you possibly want?
Oh, yeah, as you do. Yeah, that's such a good point. It did have a little bit of everything included in there, which was funny. I didn't remember. I knew this was an episode about Ana Lucia, but I didn't remember like the reunion or what was going on in the hatch or the Jack and Kate stuff. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't remember the like fun, lighthearted stuff with Jack and Kate that we get before they go to the hatch.
Yeah.
You know, where they're playing golf.
Yeah, I thought that came later this season, so I was pleasantly surprised to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice because, especially in the beginning of the episode, it's just so tense, and we've had such heavy stuff in the last few episodes, really.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just this one, but season 2 has been pretty intense.
Yeah, it's been relentless, it seems like.
Yeah, not a lot of goofy golf episodes or fun things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do we want to get into it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. We are awesome at transitions.
I know.
I love it.
You would think after what, like 8 months, it would get easier.
Oh my gosh, 8 months. It's crazy.
I know it is.
8 months and we're only in like the first half of season 2.
I know.
Wow. This is going to take us a while.
Yeah, we're going to be here for quite some time.
Did you realize what you agreed to?
I don't think I did.
We were just like, oh, we'll just do a podcast.
Yeah, it'll be fine. No big deal.
Yeah, it won't take up much time, I'm sure.
Oh.
Time well spent.
Mm-hmm.
Previously on Lost, Ana Lucia was super chill, and she and Jack flirted it up in an airport bar. Sawyer fell unconscious, he was so sick/injured, and Ana Lucia got trigger happy when Shannon walked by. Saeed seemed pretty upset about it.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
I mean, he was a tad bit upset.
I mean, yeah, you know.
We open with Ana Lucia at the shooting range, taking her problems out on some targets. We cut to her in a therapist's office, where she's been going for 4 months. She's telling her therapist that things are too quiet now that the neighbors have moved and their screaming baby is gone. The therapist asks about Danny, and Ana Lucia tells him that he left. So there's nothing to work out with Danny. She's better off alone. They discuss her trip to the shooting range and how good it felt to hold a gun in her hand again. She asks when she will let her come back to work, but her therapist says it's up to him, and he hands her her police badge. We learn a lot really quickly here, and I like the little tiny beats in this episode where she refers to babies.
Yeah.
Because it's very subtle, and it's like Walkabout, where you don't notice it the first time, but the second time you watch it, you're like, oh, she's really focused on babies.
That's true, but I feel like they've kind of buried the lead on this one because maybe it's just me, but it seems to me in a few of the previous episodes, every time anyone asks Ana Lucia about, like, do you have kids? And it's always like this long, significant pause, and she's like, no. So after like the sixth scene of that, I'm like, okay, obviously there's something significant going on with her not having kids, but wanting kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I can see it now, but I did not see that the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I probably didn't either. So.
But it's good that we had those little hints. You know, it's consistent.
Yeah, it is. I would just wish they had, like, toned it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
I could be over-exaggerating, but I feel like we had that scene at least 4 or 5 times where someone asked her if she has kids. And she's
really?
Like, yes.
I remember Saeed asking her in this episode, but I don't remember anyone else asking.
Yeah, but, like, I think Libby asked her when they first get to the island. I feel like Michael may have asked her. It's happened a lot, at least 3 times, if not 4. And again, it's always like, do you have kids? And she's not like, no, I don't have kids. It's like this significant, no, I don't have kids. So it's
like the bristly, don't ask me again, no.
Right, exactly. Like there's a whole nother story here, but you're not going to get it right now.
Yeah. Are you surprised that she's a police officer? Does that fit with, like, your mental narrative of who she is?
I feel like that is not surprising at all. It seems to fit her very well, you know?
Yeah, it really does. And I think of the scene with Bernard and him stuck in the tree.
Yeah.
At how good she was at just, like, handling the situation.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, something like a cop or like an EMT, just something where she's used to being in control and, like, calming people down.
Right,
seems to fit with her very well.
Definitely. We cut back to the island where Saeed is holding Shannon's lifeless body. He stands and points a gun at Ana Lucia. Echo immediately tackles Saeed to the ground. They wrestle around, but ultimately Ana Lucia picks up Saeed's gun and knocks him unconscious, waving the gun around and telling everyone else not to move. When we cut back to the scene, Michael is trying to calm her down. He tells her to stop pointing the gun at him, and when he takes a step, she shoots at the tree beside him. Everyone seems concerned. Libby seems especially appalled. Ana Lucia tells Echo to tie up Saeed, but he refuses. She points her gun at Libby and tells her to do it. She wants her to use the vines from Sawyer's stretcher. Libby says that Sawyer needs a doctor or he'll die, but Ana Lucia says she knows what she's doing.
I like this series of scenes.
Yeah.
I know we've said this before, but I feel like Michelle Rodriguez does a really good job, especially in this episode. Like the way you can tell she's, like, obviously very scared and panicking about this whole situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. She does a good job with it, I think.
She does an excellent job.
Yeah.
I just can't stand Ana Lucia in this scene. I feel like she loses me almost completely here. And I know she's panicking and afraid, but just the way she turns on completely everybody, you know, like pointing the gun at Libby, like telling Libby to do something at gunpoint, that is extremely uncalled for. Like, Libby's her friend. I just can't deal with her. Like, this is the Ana Lucia who I remembered, and all this time we've had more sympathy for her, and the last few episodes I've been like, oh, I feel like she's trying to look out for people, but here I'm like, she is completely turning on everybody, and I just don't get it. Like, I get the panic, but I just don't like her in this moment, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair. She's freaking out. So, yeah, I kind of agree. There are definitely moments in this scene and later on where I'm just like, it's like you said, this is kind of the Ana Lucia I remember, and this is where a lot of my problems with her start. I think she kind of turns it around a little bit in the end. Maybe not turns it around, but she makes a decision that makes me respect her a little bit more. But
in this episode?
Yeah. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, there's definitely some problematic things going on in this scene.
Yeah, it's like, I always tell people that when she killed Shannon, she lost me. And it wasn't the fact that she killed Shannon, because that's clearly an accident, even if it was like an extremely reckless one.
Yeah.
It was an accident. It's like the way she is responding to it that I really dislike.
Yeah, it's her reaction to it.
Yeah, it's her lashing out at people who are like perfectly innocent, trying to help her. Or let's dump Sawyer out of his stretcher so I can tie up Saeed. Like, what?
Yeah.
How is that okay?
Yeah. How is that going to help the situation?
That's really not going to make him, like, okay with you. I assure you of that.
Yeah.
But I like everyone else's response to her because it's the right response. Everyone's like, whoa, you are going way too far now. Like,
yeah.
And I like Echo, who just can't be intimidated by her. And he's just like, no, I'm not doing that. That's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it always makes me laugh a little bit when anyone tries to tell Echo what to do.
Yes, I know. I think that later in the episode when Jack's trying to get him to do something. And Echo's just like, nope, just gonna sit here. Thanks.
Exactly. Or when he picks up Sawyer and it's like, I'm leaving, goodbye. Like, you're not gonna do anything.
It must be nice to be like a giant human being and just nobody can mess with you. You're just like, dude, bring it. I don't care.
What does that feel like? I would love to know.
I would love to know that too. In a flashback, Ana Lucia is uniformed up. She visits her mom, Teresa Cortez, who happens to be the captain. She gives Ana Lucia her new assignment, which is desk work. But she wants patrol. Her mom tells her that she doesn't care what she wants. She was in an officer-involved shooting. Ana Lucia pleads and ultimately asks for a transfer. Her mom says, you don't get the transfer, but I will give you the car. Are you happy? And I don't know how that logically follows, but I guess in trying to keep an eye on her, she's just willing to give her what she wants.
Yeah, I think her mom would rather have her there and maybe in more danger than have her like far away in some other department and not know what's going on with her.
I guess, but I feel like if you're worried about her safety, you would just be like, go to another department because there's no way anyone's going to let you back on the street after what happened to you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know.
I don't either. I also, again, I don't know why people choose to work with their parents.
I know.
Like,
I thought the same thing.
This is just like the situation with Jack. Just don't do it. I mean, you want to go into the same field that your mom or dad works? Great. You want to have them train you at the beginning, help you get started? Fantastic. Don't work with them every day.
Right. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And, like, she seems perfectly nice, like a good mom, and, you know, I am warmer to Christian Shepherd every time I see him. He doesn't seem like he's that bad. Maybe if you guys just hadn't worked with them, things would have been okay.
Exactly. Like, even if you have the greatest relationship with your mom or dad, it's just not a good idea to have, especially in this situation, and I guess in Jack's too, where they're working directly under their parents. Like, their mom or dad are their bosses.
Right. How are you not going to have any sort of dramatic conflict when that happens?
Exactly. And just think about, like, that's, your parents are the one, like, they raised you since you were born. They've grown up with you for 18 plus years. They've seen all of your good moments and, like, all of your worst moments. I don't work with them every day as an adult. Like, no.
That's so very true.
You know?
Is there anyone else who's not Jack or Ana Lucia who worked with their parents?
I want to say there is, but I can't think of anyone. Except for, like, Jin working with Sun's dad, but I mean, that's not technically his, you know, mom or dad, so.
Jin should have worked with his dad.
Oh,
that would have been the one exception to the rule.
Yeah.
They could have spent their days fishing.
Oh, I would have watched an hour-long show just about that every week.
Me too. It would have been a really positive, uplifting show.
It would have been so cute.
On the beach, Rose is giving Jack some advice on getting more sunshine and fruit, and how to not talk with your mouth full. He notices Kate, Hurley, and Charlie hitting golf balls on the beach. According to Charlie, Kate is on steroids as she knocks another ball out of the park. Jack tells her she needs to keep her arms straight, and she's a little outraged that he's giving her tips. But, he's a doctor, so yeah. Jack says that golf is not hitting a ball, it's accuracy. So, of course, Kate challenges him to a game. Jack thinks she must be kidding, but girl is super not kidding. And Charlie and Hurley look psyched. And I'm just like, own him, Kate, please.
Yeah.
Wipe that smirk off his face.
Oh, it's so adorable.
Yeah, this scene makes me happy because I'm so stressed out by what's happening with Ana Lucia.
Yeah.
I was just like, whew, okay. I'm glad we're getting some fun.
Yeah, same.
Even if Jack is being all Jacky.
Yeah, but it's like, it's lighthearted.
It is.
Jack so rarely takes breaks, from anything.
Yeah.
So, I love it.
Yeah, it's good. And I like, Charlie and Hurley and their little peanut gallery comments.
Yeah.
I like that they're giving Kate the respect she deserves. They're just like, damn, you are good.
Right. And Jack's like, I'm a doctor, Kate. So funny.
Like, please slap him.
No, it's so cute. I love it.
Libby is telling Ana Lucia that it was an accident and people will understand. But Ana Lucia doesn't think so. She sees Saeed, now tied to a tree, and he is waking up. Saeed screams to untie him now. Echo puts Sawyer on his shoulders and says he's taking him to his camp. He's not doing it for Sawyer, he's doing it for himself.
Yeah, I love when he says that.
Yeah, it's like a lesson Ana Lucia really needs.
Yeah.
That, like, helping other people is helping yourself in a way.
Yes, she does need to learn that lesson really badly.
Really, really badly. Like, she's so focused on revenge and just like the negative aspect of everything. And Echo he's focused on his own like personal redemption, and he knows that doing wrong things is going to hurt himself.
Yeah. It just feels like he's reached a higher plane of understanding than a lot of the people on this island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so similar to Locke, where he just has his own moral compass and nothing anyone else says is going to affect that. He's following what he believes in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, of course, I love.
I know. I'm into it, too. When they have their scene later on, when they meet, I'm like, yeah, can we just do an hour of this? I would love to see what that would be like.
I could literally just watch an hour of you guys sitting at a table talking.
Yeah. It'd be fascinating.
I think we get a little bit of that in the future, and I can't wait.
I hope so.
In a flashback, Ana Lucia is in the police car patrolling with her partner. He says he heard about Danny, and he can kick his ass for her, like she needs help kicking ass. She realizes that they're patrolling a very safe neighborhood, and when she hears a call on the radio for a domestic disturbance, she jumps at the chance. When they arrive, a couple are fighting over a TV. The woman is holding a crying baby, and when the man yells at her to quiet the baby down, Ana Lucia points her gun at him and tells him to put his hands up and get on the ground. She tells the woman to go upstairs with the baby, but her partner tells her to holster her weapon immediately. Yeah, you got a problem, girl. Like, a severe problem.
Yeah, watching this scene is a little uncomfortable, to be sure.
Yeah, if I was her partner, I would be really scared when I see that happen. Because that is just so dangerous. You know, these people don't even have weapons.
Yeah, the guy's holding a TV. Like,
yeah, he's holding a TV, she's holding a baby.
Exactly.
There's no danger to you right now. Yeah, it's disturbing because, you know, at least Shannon you can write off as, you know, she was afraid. Mm-hmm. She thought, you know, maybe someone was gonna hurt them. This is just, like, so bad.
Yeah, but again, I mean, like, the baby is obviously the trigger here. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And she obviously just has really severe PTSD from what happened to her. And we haven't really gotten the details in this episode quite yet, but you know something's wrong with her and she's not really recovered, even though she has convinced her therapist of it somehow.
Right. She shouldn't have, you know, been back out there, just like her mom told her. You're not ready just yet.
And we keep getting this reference to Danny, who I assume was her partner in some way, like her romantic partner, and how he left. And I think it's a nice, subtle detail.
Yeah.
Especially when we learn later that she lost her baby. We don't know why he left, but it could have been about the baby. It could have been about her reaction to all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know, but I feel like, yeah, he probably would leave. Because this doesn't seem like a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, so many things could have happened there. You just don't know. Like, he could have been a huge asshole. Or...
Mm-hmm. Or he could have been the love of her life, and him leaving was all the more painful for her when this happened.
Right.
We just don't know.
I know. Also, you probably don't care about this, but the...
Okay, good to know. Moving on.
Yeah. Great. No, the actor who plays her partner, his name is Michael Cudlitz, and he plays a character called Abraham on The Walking Dead. And I know you don't watch The Walking Dead, but he is so great on that show. He's like the baddest badass to have ever existed.
Aww.
So yeah, as soon as he comes on, I'm like, oh, Abraham.
That's awesome. I like him a lot in this episode. He does really well with this character who doesn't have much time.
Yeah. He's also been in like a ton of other things, besides The Walking Dead, but he's just, like, his character's so specific on that show. He's such a badass, and he's also so hilarious. Like, it's such a character. So, anyway, just seeing him anywhere else is just really funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back on the island, Libby is trying to convince Ana Lucia to let Saeed go. She says she can't because he'll come after her. She tries to stop Michael from breeding Saeed water, but he tells her if he's going to stop him from doing that, she might as well just shoot him now. Saeed asks Michael who she is, and Michael fills him in on the latest happenings. When Saeed hears that Walt was taken, he seems even more upset, shouting and knocking his head back against the tree. For once, Michael seems completely cool about the situation and tells Saeed that everything will be okay soon. He's remarkably calm.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that. That's very true.
Like, yeah, Walt was taken, but it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Michael, I'm glad you feel this way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he couldn't really freak out about Walt too much because Shannon just died, so.
Right. Well, inside's clearly, like, having a pretty bad day.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's really affected by the news that Walt was taken, which I've never really noticed before, but, like, he looks like he's gonna cry when Michael says that, and he just, like, smashes his head against the tree. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was trying to figure out why he had that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was thinking, like, I guess he's thinking that Shannon died for nothing. Because they were both chasing after Walt, but then when Michael tells them Walt was taken by the others, days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I interpreted it, but I wasn't sure.
Maybe he was thinking that Shannon was right, or that Shannon really did see Walt. If he wasn't with Michael, then it's possible Shannon really saw him, and that he should have believed her.
That's true, but I feel like at the end of Abandoned, they both see Walt, and Shannon looks at Saeed and she's like, do you see him?
Yeah.
And he nods. So it seems to me like he already knew. I mean, he'd just seen Walt too.
Yeah, so maybe it's just this processing of, them seeing Walt, and then Michael telling him that he hasn't seen Walt in like a week at this point.
Yeah.
Just trying to put that all together is just challenging, I guess. And, Saeed is just this really rational guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, like it's kind of similar maybe to when Jack recognized Desmond and had that kind of like visceral reaction to what shouldn't be possible happening like right before his eyes.
Yeah, that might be true because I feel like Saeed says some things in this episode that just seem strange coming from him.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you said, like he's usually so logical and cool and calm and collected, and he kind of loses it this episode, which, understandable.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what's so great about Shannon's death, which I love Shannon, so I'm bummed she's died.
Yeah.
But the great thing about her death is that someone on the island really cares about her. Shannon cared about Boone, but it just wasn't the same. Like, she wasn't there when it happened. We don't get that gut punchy feeling that we get by watching Saeed fall apart over this. It's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really good. It's well done.
And I just like these really subtle things he does where he reacts about Walt and you're like, well, you have to really think about that, but it makes sense that he would be, upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good acting. I don't know if that was like on Naveen Andrews or if he was told to do that, but it's really good, subtle stuff.
Yeah. The details, as always on this show, are pretty great.
Indeed. We're back with Jack and Kate having a lovely day playing golf. Jack tells her that ladies play with a tee 10 foot closer to the hole, and Kate rightfully tells him to shut his face. He laughs until Kate nearly hole-in-ones it. He, of course, hits his into a group of trees. She's watching Jack try to fix his error and laughing when Echo appears with Sawyer on his back. Jack looks afraid, and Echo asks for the doctor.
Oh, how mad am I that their lovely, lovely date is interrupted by Sawyer, of all people.
Hold on. It's interrupted by Echo, okay?
Yeah, but it's mostly Sawyer.
We're gonna blame this on Sawyer.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just like, could you not have at least waited another half hour? No?
It is symbolically interrupted by Sawyer.
Yeah, it's just very annoying.
But Jack's reaction to Echo cracks me up. Because he looks genuinely scared of this man, as he should.
Yeah, I mean, how would you react if you saw that?
I'd be super freaked out too. And he just he physically backs away from him when he walks through the trees. He's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this scene is fun because it's just always so nice to see them acting chill and smiling and not being so dramatic.
Yeah, it feels like we're back to early season 1 where they're just flirting and, like you said, things aren't so dramatic and
they're not tense. I feel like so many episodes in the latter half of season 1, he just kind of dropped little comments like, oh, I don't know if I can trust you, Kate. And you're like, dude, stop ruining the happy times. And there's none of that in this episode. They're just like really friendly.
Right. She's not lying to him,
Yeah. It's just playful.
I love it. I love it so much. These two.
I do kind of wish that Hurley and Charlie were there, cheering them on. I feel like they would totally be watching this game.
Yeah, I feel like their commentary would have been pretty great.
It would have been really funny, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Opportunity missed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we had to ditch them so that when we go back to the hatch, it's not too crowded.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then we can just focus on this awkward Jack, Kate, Sawyer dynamic.
Yeah, super awkward.
We cut to Locke in the hatch, doing a crossword puzzle. Naturally, the clue that he's solving right now is Enkidu's friend. I don't know how to pronounce Enkidu. Enkidu? Something like that.
Sure.
I did not know this reference. I had to look this up because, of course, I was like, it's Locke, it's meaningful, I gotta check it out.
Right.
So, this is a reference to an ancient Mesopotamian text called the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in that, there's Enkidu, however you say that, who embraces the wild natural world, in contrast to his friend Gilgamesh, again, don't know how to pronounce that, who is the more civilized king and ruler. And the two oppose each other, but they're also friends. And Gilgamesh is completely devastated and profoundly changed when Enkidu ultimately dies. So, I found that really super interesting, and it reminds me of two very specific people.
Yeah.
But, when I was, looking for this in reference to Lost, the interpretations that I was finding didn't really match my interpretation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so people were saying that reminded them of Locke and Echo.
That's what I would have said.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Explain that before I tell you what it made me think of.
Gosh, I don't know if I can. I just feel like they're so similar, but they're not exactly the same. They're both clearly have faith in things that most people maybe wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing a good job of explaining this, but when you just gave that description, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely Locke and Echo.
That's so funny. I mean, that's what everybody else said, and I just, like, that didn't occur to me at all. I thought about Locke and Jack, because you got the one character who embraces, like, the natural world, and his friend who is the leader, the king, and embraces the civilized world. And I feel like that dichotomy is kind of Jack and Locke's issue, is, you know, Team Island versus Team Civilization, or rationality.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm also thinking of things that are going to happen later on in Lost that would correspond to that story as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I can definitely see that.
So, anywho, it's a fun little tidbit. You can dive real deep into this show, and we don't really do it on every little thing, because that would just take an eternity, and this show's already long enough. But if Locke's doing it, you know I'm gonna investigate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we were to go into every single significant little clue or detail, these episodes would be 4 hours long. So
yeah, and there's people on the internet who have done that already, and they've done it better than I ever could. So
exactly, yeah.
It's interesting, and I like learning about it, but I'm not here to pick apart every single thing, only the things I find interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywho, Jack, Kate, and Sawyer pop in. And you know drama's gonna ensue. Yeah. Jack dumps Sawyer into the shower to try to bring his fever down. He gives Kate instructions to retrieve the medicine that he needs. Locke asks Jack what happened, but he tells him to go push the button. Locke walks out and he sees Echo. They stare at each other and say hello. And if this is not game recognizing game, I do not know what is.
Yeah, it feels so significant.
It does. It's like there are just so few actors who could pull off this scene where nothing is really said. They just both say hello. And it's so great. You're just like, this is the door into a relationship that I need.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, the actor who plays Echo, I feel like we haven't talked about him much, but he's also great. I can never remember his name. It's like really long and complicated.
Yes, and I'm gonna look it up right now because I need to know.
Yeah, same. It's like, it starts with an A.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really bad.
Looking at it. It's Adewale, maybe?
Yeah,
God.
That sounds right.
It's embarrassing how bad we are at pronouncing stuff on this show.
Yeah, I mean, make your own podcast and you'll realize how hard things are to pronounce.
Words are difficult.
Yeah.
It's so much easier when you can write and just like copy and paste stuff.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's like Adewale Akinoi Agbaje?
Yeah.
I can't.
We'll find a pronunciation guide on that and we will come back next week and know how to say that name.
Right. Maybe there's an interview with him on YouTube where someone says, please pronounce your name.
Yeah.
And I can watch that.
Yeah. He's a great actor.
He is. He's fantastic. He's a lot like Terry O'Quinn, where and I know we just keep comparing them, but he conveys so much depth in so few lines.
Yeah.
He's just got that thing.
The way he uses his, facial expressions is pretty great.
Yeah. You can tell there's a lot of thought behind the things he does, and
yeah,
it's just awesome. Bernard is making his plea to Ana Lucia. He wants to find Rose, but Ana Lucia says to give her a break. She's kept them alive this long, as if she did that by herself. I'm like, dude, Echo also helped. Just saying.
Yeah.
Libby interjects, saying that they need to know what the plan is, but Saeed calls out that she has no plan. She only has her guilt and a gun. Ana Lucia turns to Michael, saying that she wants half of their ammo. She lists more supplies that he needs to get for her from their camp. If he brings them, she'll let Saeed go. But Michael doesn't want to leave Saeed alone. Jen makes it clear, though, that he'll watch out for Saeed, and Michael runs off. Libby tells Ana Lucia she can't live out here alone, but she says she's already alone.
Yeah, this is when she really starts to lose me, Ana Lucia.
Yeah, she's just cut everyone out.
Yeah, or when she starts she asked Bernard, she's like, how long have I kept you alive, Bernard? It's like, excuse me. First of all, like you just said, Echo was also a big factor in that. Second of all, he's like so close to being reunited with his wife. Like, of course he wants to leave. Jesus.
Right. I know. And it's not even just Echo. It's Libby and Cindy and Bernard.
Yeah.
Like, it was a team effort and you pulled your weight. Okay. We appreciate your help, but
Exactly.
it was not all you. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're the quote unquote leader. Like, everybody was helping.
Yeah.
And, you know, just because they're alive doesn't mean they would have been dead without you.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm supposed to feel bad for her at the end when she's like, I'm already alone, but I'm like, you're alone of your own choosing. You didn't have to ostracize all these people who would have had your back. Like, Libby flat out said it's an accident. Like, she understood that you were scared and you made a mistake. She would not have abandoned you.
Yeah.
But you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah, it's hard. I do feel a little bit bad when she says that, because I feel like deciding to live on your own on that island is pretty extreme. But I mean, you're right. She did kind of bring this on herself, so.
It's just, it could have gone so differently, you know? Like, if she just shown like an ounce of remorse instead of going on the offense like this. That's just, you know, I mean, that's what she does. She goes on the offense.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think would have happened if she hadn't reacted so, I guess, drastically?
I think it's possible Saeed would have still been upset, you know, understandably, but
yeah.
I think she would have, at the very least, still had Libby and Echo and pretty much all the tailies would have been on her side because, you know, they know she's a good person underneath it all.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with all of them on her side, I think she would have been forgiven. And even, you know, Michael and Jen would understand that it was an accident. You know, they saw it happen too.
Right.
So they could maybe bridge the gap with, you know, their people. So I just feel like it's this reaction that is going to ostracize her, not the fact that she did it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I always think like how Sawyer would be reacting to all this. He's there, but not, you know?
He would have gotten the hell out of there. He would have been like, I don't want any part of this. Goodbye.
Yeah. It just would have been really interesting, like, how he would tell that story to other people, you know? Like, if he would say it was her fault or not. But we'll never know.
I guess we won't.
In a flashback, Ana Lucia and her partner are fighting about what happened. But they're interrupted by a coworker telling Ana Lucia that they got her guy. Her guy's name is Jason. Her mom explains that his fingerprints match the crime scene and that he has confessed. She tells Anna that all she needs to do is ID him, and they can put him away. But Ana Lucia says it's not him. Her mom asks why she won't just say that this is the guy. This guy put 4 hollow point bullets into her and tried to kill her. He can't go back on the street. But Ana Lucia reiterates it's not him. Massive PTSD, girl. You should not be touching guns.
Yeah, it's not great.
Nope.
It's not a good situation for anyone.
I was confused the first time I watched this. I was like, what? I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah. I think I was
hindsight,
confused
I was
too.
like, oh, no. Ana Lucia. Ana Lucia sits down beside Shannon's body, and she actually does look sad. Back in the hatch, Echo tells Locke about Shannon. Locke asks if Echo can take him to them, but he says no. Kate's returned with Jack's supplies. Jack tells her the infection has spread to Sawyer's bloodstream and he's septic now. He tries to give Sawyer the medicine, but he chokes and spits it out. Kate says she can do it. She whispers into Sawyer's ear and hugs him close, and it's clear how much she cares. Jack can see it too, and he looks away uncomfortably. Kate gets him to take the pill, and Jack gives her her props.
I don't know how to feel about this scene.
Sure you do, Randy. How do you feel?
I don't feel good about it. I don't know.
It pains you as a lover of Jack and Kate, right?
It does. I feel weird saying that, but it does. Cause like Kate and Sawyer clearly have a connection.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, I don't want to say he's jealous, but like, he wants that connection with Kate.
Yeah.
And then Sawyer's dying, so I watch this and I'm just like, get this off of my screen. I don't know what this is.
You're like, I don't want to feel bad for Sawyer.
Right. I feel so uncomfortable. I'm like, oh. But
I like this scene a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes me feel something for every single one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel bad for Jack in this scene, and, you know, he plays it really well, and he's not, like, angry about it. You can tell he's just disappointed to see how much she cares about Sawyer.
Yeah, I feel like you can really tell in this scene how much he cares about Kate.
Yes, you can see how much he cares and how much it hurts him to see her care about somebody else.
Ugh. This scene, maybe the reason why I don't like it is it makes me think of a couple of scenes we're going to get in season 3 that are, not to give spoilers, but are so similar and they're just heartbreaking. Oh,
they're
God.
so good.
Shut up.
But how I'm scared to even ask you this.
Oh God.
But how does it make you feel to see Kate care about Sawyer? Like, what do you think her feelings are ultimately? Like, does she love him?
No.
Is she, like, protective of him? Like, how do you interpret it?
I don't know. We all know I do not like them. I feel like I can't accept that she loves him mostly because of the way he treated her in Born to Run, that episode we got at the end of season 1, which that was pretty much their last interaction. Like, this is the first time they've seen each other since then. So,
right.
And I think you kind of disagreed with how they related to each other in that episode. Because I remember after Sawyer, like, exposes her on the beach, you know, they had that conversation by the fire, and I'm like, why are you still even talking about each other, like, to each other? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So when I watch the scene, I don't like it. I definitely feel like they have a connection, but I wouldn't call it love, not by a long shot.
Yeah. It sounds like you see their connection, you just don't really understand why they would have one.
No. Especially, no? Right, yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry.
No, it's good.
Yeah, no, it's like, especially, you know, next to Jack and Kate, who, like I've said many times previously, pretty much from the first moment they've met, I've really been into their connection. Right. So it's just not the same to me.
It's just so fascinating to me, like, you know, like, I don't see what Kate sees in Jack, but that's because I don't like Jack, you know, personally. Mm-hmm. And, like, I can see that she cares about him. I can see he cares about her. I can see, you know, that they should be a couple, but, you know, I'm always like, I don't know what you see in him, girl. And I feel like it's similar for you, where you're like, I don't know what you see in Sawyer after, like, that last episode where you guys were interacting and you didn't like the way Sawyer handled it.
Yeah, it's the exact same.
Yeah, but I think this scene is so good at, like, playing to both of those things where you see her connection with both of them in a way. And it's really hard to do that. I feel like it's really hard to give that kind of balanced view where, like, I don't know who she should be with, you know? She cares about both of them, clearly.
I mean, I know who she should be with, but yeah, I get your point.
I mean, you know who I would rather Kate be with, but if I'm gonna be, like, as unbiased as possible, I think, you know, she cares about both of these guys. She maybe loves both of these guys. I don't know if she's really at that point yet, but she definitely cares about both of them, and I can see people being so passionate about both perspectives on this situation.
Yeah, I can too. Again, it's just hard because you can just see how much Jack cares about her. Mm-hmm. And even though I think Kate's connection with Jack is a lot stronger than her connection with Sawyer, she does not care about him at the level that he cares about her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right now I think that's really obvious.
Yeah, and it's just so sad.
But I think she does care about Sawyer that much. I think right now she cares more about Sawyer than Jack.
I would disagree completely.
I think that that's going to be a fluid thing and it's going to change, but like at this moment, you know, the way she ripped through those letters in that past episode and these little hints, I feel like he's who's been in her mind.
Yeah, but I mean, they're both in her mind. Like Jack's there. Like they've been flirting aggressively, like throughout a lot of this season. Yeah. And then especially I can't wait till we get to next week's episode because there's a whole bunch of stuff in that episode where
I definitely see them connecting, but I just don't see like the depth of feeling for Jack that I see in her feeling for Sawyer.
But don't you think most of it is because Sawyer is dying? Like they definitely have a connection, but if Sawyer had strolled in there, fine, it wouldn't have been this intense.
Actually, no, I don't think that. At first I agreed with you. But then I remembered the letters and her just like, she didn't know that he was dying then.
Yeah, maybe.
She just wanted to know what was going on.
Maybe I'm writing that off because like we discussed in that episode, that never made sense to me. Why she was...
It didn't make sense, but emotionally I got that she cared about Sawyer.
I still think she cares about Jack more, but I think it's the fact that he's dying.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, there's so many things I want to say, but I can't say them.
I mean, this is such a tiny, tiny little part of this episode, but I mean, I think the reason we're talking about it so much and the reason that it stands out to me is that every other mention of this kind of love triangle thing that we have, it's been very one-sided. You know, like in a Jack episode, it's very Jack and Kate, Jack and Kate. And then in a Sawyer episode, it's very Sawyer and Kate, Sawyer and Kate. And I like when the three of them are together and we can see that dynamic and like what's happening.
Yeah.
I think it's so much more interesting because, you know, when you're alone at a campfire drinking with Sawyer, like, yeah, it's going to get really flirty, but like to see it happen like here and now, it's a totally different emotional thing.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like the beginning, like a significant beginning of this triangle that they're going to kind of explore in the next like couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Like this dynamic is going to be repeated a lot coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I always wonder how much of this was based on what fans were responding to and how much they had planned. Because I've always heard that Sawyer was not really supposed to be a love interest for her and that Saeed was.
Interesting.
And I'm really glad that things played out the way it did, but it's just so funny to think about. Like, I guess, you know, people responded to Sawyer quickly, I'm sure, and things just happened the way they did.
Yeah, I suppose.
Randy is not a fan of that.
I'm trying to be objective here, but
it's hard.
Yeah.
I know. It's hard for me to be objective too. Though I was seriously feeling for Jack in this scene because it was just, he looked so sad.
Yeah. And again, I do feel sad for Sawyer in this scene because he is dying. So
yeah, I have so much more sympathy for Jack when he is sad versus when he's angry. When he's angry, I'm just like, shut up. But when he's sad, I'm like, aw. I'm sorry, Jack. He does lost puppy good for me.
He does. It's so heartbreaking. Just thinking about all the times he's gonna be sad in the future. It's making me sad.
Yeah, let's get some more sad Jack. Then I'll like him more.
No! How dare you?
Alright, moving on.
Yeah.
Bernard has had enough. PC outsies, guys. He says he doesn't want to be a part of this, but thanks Ana Lucia for what she's done for him so far. Ana Lucia turns to Libby and asks if she's going. She says that she just doesn't think Ana Lucia is the best judge of character. She was with her when she put Nathan in the pit. So everyone's going, and Ana Lucia tells Jen he might as well go too. Saeed nods that it's okay, and Jen reluctantly follows the others. Now it's just her and Saeed and her gun. And I felt like Libby was a little bit hypocritical here, where she's like, I watched you put Nathan in the pit. And I'm like, yeah, Libby, you were like, Nathan's so creepy.
Exactly, Libby, let's calm down. It's not like you were all go Nathan back then.
I agree with you. She's not the best judge of character, but that's maybe not your best example.
Yeah, so true.
Michael is running through the jungle when he finds Sun in her garden. He's smart enough to know her first thought and tells her Jin is okay, but he needs Jack. Jack is in the hatch interrogating Echo. He's mad because he's just learned what happened to Shannon. Locke tells him to stop, that Echo is the one who brought Sawyer back to them, but Jack says he brought him back half dead. Echo says anything he says will only make Jack angry, so he will say nothing. Like we said earlier, just watching Jack try to intimidate Echo is beyond hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Like, please just stop.
He's just like, can you not look at him and realize that he is an unmovable force?
Yeah.
He will do what he wants.
Exactly. You have no power over him.
Yeah. And also, to Locke's point, he is the one who brought Sawyer to them. He's probably the last guy you want to be making angry. Luckily, Michael is here. Jack begins to arm up while Locke tells him that he needs to stop and think about this first. But Jack says he's not going to wait around for this situation to resolve itself. Echo shouts, "Stop, please." He asks what Jack wants. Peace, revenge, justice, and yet you carry all those guns, he says. He tells them that Ana Lucia made a mistake, and Jack suddenly remembers when he met Ana Lucia. Echo offers to take Jack to her, alone, with no guns, and he agrees.
Yeah, I'm not sure how... I guess it's good ultimately that Echo kind of calms things down and gets Jack to go with him without bringing any weapons. Not really sure how smart that is, considering that Shannon is dead, Saeed is tied to a tree, Ana Lucia has a gun and she's freaking out. Like, that kind of seems like a situation where you want to bring at least one weapon, but, I get it.
Yeah, I think after what happened to Shannon, this is the right call. Like, these weapons are not helping, they're making things worse.
Yeah. Especially
if you've got Echo with you, he's gonna be the one who can talk to her.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I like seeing Echo diffuse the situation because it's such a typical Jack and Locke argument where Jack is just determined that this is the way it has to be and Locke is telling him no and he's not going to listen to anything Locke says and Echo, makes his point and he makes the perfect point. Like what are you going to accomplish with guns? Only more violence.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, it's interesting that Michael doesn't follow Ana Lucia's instructions, to get her like a pack and ammo or whatever and immediately goes and finds Jack.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that because it just made sense for this to start happening, but that's what he said he was going to do and he didn't do that at all.
Right. And she told him, I guess he didn't believe her, that if he got her that stuff, she would let Saeed go and, go off on her own.
Right. And he doesn't even mention that to anyone. It's like, maybe you should have said that and then Jack could have rolled in with a blanket and everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
But okay. And he just happily takes the gun when Jack hands it to him. He's
yeah. Right, Michael doesn't give a shit. He's like, let's go. I don't care.
I am sick of this.
Yeah.
He's probably just going to take that gun and run off after Walt.
Oh, very true.
Which wouldn't be a horrible choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ana Lucia asks Saeed where he's from. She's loading and unloading her gun. She asks if he has any kids. He says no and asks if she has children, to which she says no. He asks if she's going to kill him. He knows it's what she's thinking about. Ana Lucia asks if she should, and Saeed tells her about torturing Sawyer in his past as a torturer. He says that maybe she should kill him. Maybe she's meant to. She tells him she was a police officer, and one night she responded to a burglary call when a kid came through the door. When she told him to put his hands up, he said that she was making a mistake, that he was just a student and could show her his ID. She believed him. She let him reach, and that's when he shot her. She says when she fell to the ground, she thought she was dead. She still feels dead. When Saeed asks what happened to that man, we cut to a flashback. Ana Lucia's in a bar, and we see Jason walk by. She follows, and on the street, she tells Jason she was pregnant and shoots him. Many, many times.
So many times.
So many times. He's super dead.
Yeah.
Ana Lucia tells Saeed that no one ever found Jason. She cuts him loose and tells Saeed to pick up the gun. She deserves it. He asks what good it would be to kill her if they're both already dead. Instead, he goes to Shannon and he holds her. This scene is so good. All of it.
Yeah, it is really good. Especially the scene between, or I guess the last moment between Ana Lucia and Saeed. It's like really powerful.
Yes. It's really powerful to hear them both telling their tragic backstories to each other and all the awful things they've done.
Yeah.
And to watch them both, you know, they've responded to it so differently. Like, I feel like Saeed has kind of risen above who he was, and now he's a better person for it, and, like, maybe not at this moment, but in general, a happier person.
Yeah.
But Ana Lucia is she's really still stuck in her past, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's clearly still haunting her.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like this is kind of the respect I was talking about earlier. Like the fact that she, you know, unties Saeed and gives him the gun. Like he really didn't have any reason not to kill her in that moment. So.
Yeah, and I think she thinks he will.
Yeah.
And just thinks that she deserves it.
Yeah.
Which does make me more sympathetic to her again. But I'm so annoyed with her. It's hard.
Yeah. I'm a little less annoyed after she does that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. And I have so much sympathy for her losing her child in this flashback. But it's like, after that happens, and you know that you are a murderer, basically. I mean, okay, I guess I shouldn't say, do you think she's a murderer? Like, do you fault her for making that choice to free this guy and kill him?
No, I don't have a problem with this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's so funny because I feel like that's such a horrible thing to do. I put a poll on Instagram because I wanted to know what people thought about this, and I was in the minority. Like, you're in the majority here. It's
because you're a nicer person.
I don't feel like I am, though. I'm not that nice. I think I just look at it and think, you know, they caught him, he confessed, like, this dude is gonna suffer. He's gonna either go to jail or be sentenced. I don't know what's gonna happen to him, but something bad is gonna happen, especially when he's, you know, killed your unborn baby.
Yeah, but he gets released right away. He gets put back on the street because they can't hold him. So nothing happens to him.
He gets released because Ana Lucia said it wasn't him.
Yeah, that's fair.
If she had said it was him, it would have confirmed all the other stuff, the fingerprint and his confession. So she knows that if she says not him, that she can go kill him herself. This is just like, to me, this is premeditated murder, and I'm just not okay with it.
I mean, I guess technically that's what it is. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I feel like, obviously, the fact that she was pregnant when he tried to kill her makes everything 10 times worse. He confessed, you know, so it's 100% certain that he's the guy. And he's obviously a terrible person. Like, he's, you know, the list about what he's done is like assault, all these other things. And also, this may be just because I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, but a lot of times when someone attempts to murder someone else and they don't succeed, the sentence is like so much lighter than if, you know, that person who should have been dead, like Ana Lucia, should have been dead in this case, shot 4 times, like, they get off after like a year or 2. Or it's like, oh, you were sentenced to 5 years, but you were, you know, get off in 3 for good behavior. So I guarantee, again, I'm not an expert in like the justice system, but I feel like this would have been one of those situations where there would have been a trial. Maybe he would have gotten a little bit of a harsher sentence because he tried to kill a police officer of all people.
Well, and because he did kill an unborn child. I think he would get more for that too.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I've heard about that, and that you can be convicted for killing an unborn baby.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
But regardless of any of that, Ana Lucia is a police officer, if you're a police officer, you have to have some sort of faith in the law and, being a part of it. I just feel like you are just disregarding the entire system that you work for and believe in if you do this.
Yeah, well, again, maybe because she's seen these types of situations before, she knows that the punishment for this guy isn't going to be as harsh.
It's not as harsh as she wants it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's so interesting that how people react to this so differently. I just, to me, in the lost spectrum of black and white and gray, this is super black to me. And it's just so wrong. It's like when Sawyer kills that guy in Australia and you're like, that's just murder. You killed somebody and you shouldn't have killed them. There's just a certain line that you don't cross, and this is line crossing to me.
Don't you think that's different though? I guess it's not that different, but
it is different in certain ways, Sawyer killed the wrong person. So he's hung up on that because that person was completely innocent. Ana Lucia knows this is the guy, and I guess maybe that's why people are more okay with it.
Yeah, he confessed. He's clearly a terrible person. So
he is a terrible person. I
don't have any sympathy for this guy. She kills him, fine. The other option is there's only 3 options for this guy. I feel like she kills him, he's dead. He goes to jail, maybe for a very long time. That's how he spends the rest of his life. Fine, that's great too. Or he goes to jail for 3 years and gets out and continues being a terrible person and maybe killing more people. So it's yeah, kill him, whatever. Send him to jail, fine. Don't let him be out in the world anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is just a very dependent on your perspective thing. The other thing that I think about when I watch this is last week's episode and how we watched her, kill Goodwin and then kind of fall apart. And I just feel like this is so much worse than anything that happened last week. This feels like the event that shaped who Ana Lucia is. And
yeah,
it makes last week's struggles just feel a little more insignificant because this is her real struggle. And you can tell just in the way she talks to Saeed about it. And why wouldn't it be? Obviously this is a horrible thing that happened. But I'm just again, kind of dealing with the weird chronological time issue of it all. This flashback informed us of who Ana Lucia was before the island. Mm-hmm. And yet when she arrives on the island, she seems really nice and cool. And it seems like it's the Goodwin events that make her so crazy, but clearly it was this. And so I'm just it's all kind of messy.
Yeah, it is interesting to think of chronology of that.
I feel like that kind of happens sometimes, and it's just a tricky thing to deal with when you're doing this format of, flashbacks and life on the island and flashing back to before a flashback. The time gets kind of confusing.
Yeah, and we don't know. This thing where she kills this, the guy who tried to kill her, this could have happened 7 years ago, could have happened 2 months ago.
Yeah, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah.
Really nice to know. Not that it would be any less significant to her now, but if this had happened a week ago, a week before the crash, that would have been a huge thing.
Right.
It also would have made her flirting with Jack super extra weird.
God, that's so true. Even more weird than it already was.
Right.
But yeah, I think for me personally, I just have that opinion because of all the true crime podcasts I listen to. And the amount of people who just get off out of jail, after serving ridiculously short sentences, who are just true monsters, and it's really just disgusting. So.
I think for a lot of people, it's just emotionally satisfying to see her kind of get her justice.
Yeah.
But I just look at it and think, first of all, this is wrong and murder and, all that. But then also, look at her now. It didn't help. It didn't do anything. You just hurt yourself by doing this.
Right. Well, that's usually the thing about revenge, doesn't ultimately help you feel any better. But
It's you could have done the right thing and he could be rotting in jail right now and you would feel so much better, and he would still be living a miserable life.
Yeah, but she just wanted him dead. She just
wanted that moment. Yeah. Ugh, man.
Sometimes I think about the people in jail, and it makes me, like, really angry.
The people in jail who, like, should be dead?
Like, the true monster, like, serial killer psychopaths who just get to go to jail, which I guess is a terrible place, but when I think about how they're reading books and how some of them, like, rehabilitate their lives and go on to, like, paint or do whatever, and I'm just like, I'm talking about, like, the Ted Bundys of the world, like, the truly awful people. I'm just like, fuck that, like, oh my god, all this is getting cut out. Anyway, we need to move on.
Please don't. It's so funny.
I could talk about this for the next hour, but anyway.
I hate people and their stupid redemption and their painting.
It's just like, those people, I'm like, oh, they could be in the the library in jail, like, checking out Harry Potter and reading that. I'm like, no, they don't get to do things like that. Absolutely not.
No Harry Potter for lawbreakers.
It makes me so mad.
Harry Potter might inspire them to be better people, Randy.
If you've killed 20 people, you're not going to be a better person. That's it for you. You're done, okay?
You had your chance and you just screwed it up.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay.
Sorry.
No, please don't be. I have tears in my eye. Back in the hatch, Kate is sitting with Sawyer, who's not looking very good. She's talking to him, telling him that he'll be alright, he's home now. And yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
I think we talked enough about all that.
Yeah, I think we did.
At the beach, Vincent runs to Michael, and we get the reunion montage that we've desperately been waiting for.
Yes.
Bernard and Rose finally come together, and it is perfect. And of course, Sun and Jin reunite just as adorably. Echo and Jack walk through the jungle and find Saeed carrying Shannon. He says nothing as Ana Lucia trails behind him. It's a really good ending.
Yeah, that last shot between Jack and Ana Lucia when they're just staring at each other. Mm-hmm. I always remember that shot. I don't know why. It feels, like, important.
Yes. It's composed very well.
Yeah.
It's a very good shot.
Yeah.
Like, visually.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like both of those actors are, like, saying so many things with, like, their eyes and faces that, you know, without actually saying anything at all. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes the weird, awkward airport bar scene with them worth it, because we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking at each other because they know each other. He knows what she did, and she knows he knows that. Mm-hmm. So we've just got all this tension, and then they're just in the standoff. And you just know next time these two are going to deal with some stuff, and it's going to be a clash. You know, they're the leaders of two groups, you know?
Yeah.
And they're very different people.
Yeah. It's such a good contrast.
And fun fact about Rose and Bernard, did you know that the actors did not want to meet each other until this reunion scene so that their first look at each other would look like this?
I read that and I almost died. It is so great that they wanted to make it as authentic as possible.
Yes, I did not know that they did that, and I think that is so adorable.
Yeah, it's great. That reunion scene is definitely the best scene in the episode.
Yeah, they give more time to Sun and Jin, and I know we care about them more. They're like bigger casts, but I wanted to see Rose and Bernard.
Yeah. Oh, they do such a good job, and the music is so good. It's just great.
It is. I love the montages.
Yeah. Classic Lost.
We always
montage.
love the montage.
Yeah.
Is there ever like a bad montage? Am I ever like, ugh, this is stupid?
Exactly.
Never. So, overall, how do you feel about this episode?
I feel a lot of things about this episode.
It's a complicated one.
Yeah, it is. Which that's why I feel like it's so hard for me to like give this episode a grade overall. Like there are things that make me really happy, things that make me angry and sad. So
what makes you angry?
I don't know, maybe just uncomfortable, like the stuff with Kate and Sawyer and Jack. Some of the
You
stuff
don't
with
like
Annalise.
seeing Kate care about Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean...
That's like 30 seconds of the episode, though, to be fair.
It's just like, yeah, it's just some of the stuff with Anna Lucia as well. More of the stuff with Anna Lucia.
Yeah.
It's just like, this episode just ticks all the emotional boxes. Like, I feel everything watching this episode, so.
That is so true. It is a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's just like, I enjoy this episode so much, and it makes me dislike last week's even more.
That is so unfair. You can't use this episode to downgrade last week's.
I can, because I lose, like I said earlier, this murder that Ana Lucia commits just makes me, like, her killing Goodwin is no longer important. Like, that, we were all like, oh no, now she has blood on her hands, this has taken an emotional toll on her. No, this thing with Jason took a toll on her. This is, like, big, like, meaty stuff. The stuff with Goodwin is just so trivial in comparison.
But it's not trivial. That was, like, meaty in a completely different way.
Yeah, it's not trivial to, like, the Tailies overall and, our understanding of this island. It's not trivial there, but it just feels like that is now trivial to her.
I disagree. I think the killing of Jason and the killing of Goodwin, it all kind of meshes together and really helps me understand, how she arrived at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it all relates. It's all important. And yeah, you could argue that when she killed Jason, it was more important, more significant than what happened with Goodwin, but, that was also a big deal. We saw her break down over that, so.
I know, and I'm just like, I just feel like it just doesn't matter compared to this. Cause he was, like, attacking her. She was defending herself, and why would you be upset about killing someone who was trying to hurt you versus, like, killing somebody who was walking down the street?
But who also tried to kill you?
I know, but, like, he was contained. Like, he wasn't a problem anymore. I don't know.
I disagree.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I really love the episode, though. I think it's so good.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty good.
So, thematically, where were you at?
I wrote down a couple of different things. I ultimately settled on something we've already talked about, which is, killing someone for revenge doesn't change what happened and won't make you feel any better in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, Ana Lucia figured that out when she murdered Jason, as you put it. And I feel like Saeed kind of comes to this realization, too, when Ana Lucia hands him the gun at the end. And he's like, what's killing you gonna do? That's not gonna help me. It's not gonna help anyone. So.
Yeah, Saeed already knows that.
Yeah.
Yep, I mean, that's essentially what I said too. I said, is revenge worth the price?
Mm-hmm.
And, we see that with Ana Lucia and Saeed, and I think we see it with Echo too, because I think he's learned that violence only hurts the ones who are violent, and that's why he is so, adamant that they not bring the guns when they go confront Ana Lucia. And, we've seen it in the past, in other episodes, but it's nice to see these people who are, like, doing the right thing. I feel like it was a little less black and white when we had Saeed and the torturing. Like, I feel like that was really arguable, but
yeah,
here I think it's just we've got more people on board with, like, getting away from our bad ways. Saeed, I think, has learned his lesson, and I think Echo has too.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about Echo, but yeah, he definitely fits into that.
Cause he's, he to put it in Echo terms, he repented. He made his peace with what he did, and by doing that, he found his own peace.
Yeah. Here's a question, which is totally unrelated to Lost, but
okay.
Do you like revenge stories? Like, I know you say you don't watch a lot of movies, but because I feel like a lot of my favorite movies are revenge stories. Like, I love those kinds of stories. So do you like those, or?
I don't know, like, what's an example of a revenge story?
Like, I don't know if you watch anything by Quentin Tarantino, like Kill Bill or Django Unchained or Gladiator or Braveheart or The Count of Monte Cristo. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, I like a lot of those that you listed.
But do you like the concept of revenge? Like, because I always really enjoy those stories when the characters get their revenge in the end.
It's funny that some of those that you named, because I don't think of them as revenge stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of them I do. Like Django Unchained, I would definitely think of as a revenge story, but I don't know, almost more justice?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. See, the problem I have with Ana Lucia is she was getting justice, and she chose revenge. Like, it's different to me.
Okay, there's a distinction for you.
There is a distinction, you know, like, if he hadn't been caught, that'd be a different thing. But, you know, like, legally it seemed like a pretty closed case. So, you were gonna get justice, but she wasn't gonna get revenge, and she wanted revenge. So, I guess I don't particularly like revenge, but I do like justice. Like, I definitely don't think of Braveheart as a revenge story. It's just, like, getting what they, you know, the Scottish people deserved, which was freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just interesting. 'Cause those are always my favorite. I don't know if I put as much a distinction as you do between revenge and justice, but...
Yeah, I mean, I always think, like, the good guy won't choose revenge.
So I'm always like, yeah, get your revenge. Do it. Like...
I know, sometimes it feels like they should have. You know, I think of Outlander and when they let Black Jack get away.
Oh, God, let's not talk about that.
And I'm like, God, you could have saved yourself so much trouble. But, yeah. You know it's a good episode when we have talked this long.
No, didn't think that was gonna happen.
Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up now.
Alright.
I assume our listeners have other things to do with their lives. So, thank you for listening. We love your comments and questions, so please drop us a line on Instagram and shoot us an email at frecklesandblondie@thelostpodcast.com, or you can call our voicemail line at 484-416-LOST. If you'd like to help the show out, please head to iTunes and rate, review, subscribe to Freckles and Blondie there. You can be extra amazing and pledge $1 a month or whatever you can afford to help us produce this podcast every week. We are still a mere $5 away from our virtual Lost watching parties. People have been asking me when those will begin, and the answer is soon, you know, as soon as we reach this goal.
Yeah.
So, you know, tell a friend. And then we will have to think of something even more awesome for goal number 2. But that is a challenge for another day. Tune in next week for What Kate Did, where, hey, maybe we'll find out what Kate did. Maybe we won't.
I mean,
who knows?
We'll see, I guess.
Until then, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And this has been Freckles and Blondie. And when she hears a call on the radio for a domestic disturbance call, or God, call. Jesus!
Oh, gosh.
Start that again. Where am I? Okay. I swear I didn't, do drugs before I started this or something. I'm not drinking.
I'm gonna put all these bloopers at the end of this episode, and they're gonna be 10
Just
minutes
all
long.
of them.
Yeah.